All right, good evening. It is 6:31 and I am calling the Northborough School Committee into session. Welcome back to our start of our 24-25 school year. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We are at our new location, the Lincoln Street School Cafetorium. So it is going to be a learning curve to see if we want to reorganize tables, things like that, but we'd appreciate you letting us know how the sound is as we go along and if it's working out for everybody. So I do just, before we start the meeting, I do just want to offer condolences for the families involved in Georgia at the school shooting. It's horrific, it's tragic that these things keep happening in our country. And, you know, I think it touches us specifically because we are all in schools all the time. So it's especially unfortunate for this to happen, keep happening. So we are going to move on to audience sharing. Yep, come on up. Where do we want our audience?
Sure.
Have a sit at the table? Okay. Yeah, you can have a seat right there. Please state your name and address.
Okay.
And we ask you to limit your remarks to 3 minutes.
Okay. Jennifer Lipton, O'Connor, 21 Joseph Road. I first want to thank all the teachers and administrators and school staff for all the hard work they did to open the school year. I know we're only a few days in, but my son is feeling really positively about the year, so I just want to thank everybody for their hard work. And I want to thank the committee for the opportunity to speak here as a parent of an 8th grader who's been in our school district since kindergarten. Last October, almost 11 months ago, our son was participating in a teacher-led activity, and through no fault of his own, he suffered a significant physical injury. Upon speaking to numerous medical experts, it became clear that basic safety precautions had not been followed or considered. We immediately brought this to the attention of the Melican team. Over the last 11 months, we've repeatedly asked educators and administrators to put student safety first and ensure best practices are followed in all content areas and throughout the school day, including PE classes. It's been nearly a year since our son was injured, and in order to respect his privacy, I won't share much more about it, but we can say that his injury was something that he's going to be dealing with for his entire life. We know that teachers work really hard, and we are asking, as you enter the budget season, that you consider funding additional resources to consider safety, especially in our PE classes. As a parent, I've been involved in youth sports, and I've noticed a great deal of safety measures being placed in youth sports. We feel like as educators, as school staff, at least the same safety measures should be present in school, if not more significant measures. Things like eye protection, headgear, concussion prevention, etc. So we're asking you to help support the teachers and the educators in the hard work that they do every day to create safe schools for all students, regardless of their physical abilities or limitations, and really give the teachers the tools that they need to constantly be evaluating their practices and making sure that they're safe for students. We think that our students really deserve that. I just want to say that I really respect our teachers, and I know they work hard every day, and I just want to acknowledge all of the hard work by all of the folks in this room and many others, and we really appreciate the 9 years that we've lived here and had an excellent educational experience. And again, my point in sharing my son's story is really to ask you, as a budgetary request and a budgetary priority to consider, to really consider funding whatever protective equipment, training, professional development, etc., that the experts in the field, including the teachers who teach those classes, say that they need to keep our students safe. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Is there any other audience sharing from the audience? No? Joan?
I have 2 things that I like to start off the meeting with, and the first one is an article that was in the Boston magazine just recently. I had a town official who sent it to me, and I researched it further, and I even tried to get the Boston magazine today and couldn't even find it. So I made a copy of this paper because As a regional member, in 2 weeks I will bring this up, and we always talk about the ranking of Algonquin Regional High School. And reading this over and seeing that we had our meeting tonight, and knowing that our public schools of Northborough and Southborough are 10 schools, 3 districts, 1 community of learners, I wanted to thank the principals and the staff and the head of the teachers union who is here to thank you, because as you look there and see that Algonquin Regional High School in the latest survey was ranked number 20. I put 30 here. If you get the magazine, there are 100 schools, and we were ranked 20. And when I looked at the scores that they have from the MCAS test, those were the 10th graders of the spring. So that means those children walked through these doors 10 years ago, through these buildings, through the middle school. They were probably some of the ones that wrote those nice greetings on the pavement as we came in, the positive things. So I'd just like to thank all of you that are here tonight, the staff, the teachers, the administration, for everything that you do to make a community of learners, as Greg Martineau has. We're 10 schools, we're 3 districts, but we all come together. So thank you very much, because what they do as 10th graders is a reflection of what our whole staff does K to 8 that we're here tonight for. So thank you very much. Second thing, very quickly, is that looking at Facebook, I was very pleased to see that we have our Apple Fest parade coming up very soon in 2 weeks, and proud to see that Mary Ellen Duggan is going to be our school staff, and our extraordinaire who got us through COVID is that she is going to be the Grand Marshal. So right now I'd just like to write something that was on Facebook, and I learned more things about her, so I don't know how she sleeps. I guess she doesn't. It says, congratulations to our 2024 Apple Fest Grand Marshal, Mary Ellen Duggan, for her dedication as nurse manager for Northborough, Southborough school districts, guiding and assisting our schools, students and families in the Northborough schools through the COVID pandemic crisis. Her years of work dedicated to providing community meals and after-school snack programs for those in need. A member of Northborough's Food Pantry, the Helping Hands organizations, past president, and active member of the Northborough Junior Women's Club. Her work on the Women in STEM program with Northborough's youth. Her work with Substance Use Prevention Coalition. This past year, honored as Nurse Manager of the Year for the state of Massachusetts. Please thank Mary Ellen Duggan for her dedication and all she has done for our community. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do to make our district and to make it safe, and what you're doing for the whole entire community. Thank you very much. This is an honor that you're so deserving of. Thank you.
Moving on the agenda, we have new business, principal reports. Come on down.
The summer was busy at Melican, and we want to thank Bud Richardson and the custodial staff for their hard work on the building and grounds preparing for the opening of school, along with Nicole DeAngelis for her work on student and staff schedules. Over the summer, we had 28 students withdraw from Melican and 21 new students enroll. Our outdoor tennis and basketball courts were resurfaced, and we're thankful for the collaboration between the town and the school department.
Faculty and staff began the year with professional development connected to belonging. We explored culture, climate, and making connections with all students, with each other, and with families to make sure we are promoting a culture of belonging where everyone feels valued and supported. We are looking forward to continuing this work together throughout the year as we explore academic engagement and student behavior through the lens of belonging. Our athletic seasons are beginning. Field hockey, boys soccer, and cross country started today, and girls soccer will begin on Friday. Unified bocce will also begin soon, and we are thankful for Mike Masserino, Athletic Director, Algonquin Regional High School, for his oversight in beginning to take over middle school athletics. School pictures take place on September 17th and 18th, and our open house is scheduled for September 26th from 6 to 7:45.
We're off to an amazing start at the 4 elementary schools. We would like to acknowledge several members within all of our school communities for their efforts in getting schools ready and open for the new school year. First, our facility team led by Bud Richardson for their exceptional work in preparing our schools for our return. Thank you to our cafeteria staff, our bus drivers for planning and the safe care with our students during breakfast, lunch, and getting them to and from school safely. We also want to thank our dedicated staff who participated in 3 days of professional development to prepare for what will be another amazing year ahead. It takes a tremendous effort to prepare classrooms at the beginning of the year, so we thank them. Last but not least, a heartfelt thank you to our wonderful PTO and the parents for the delicious welcome back luncheons and treats that we've gotten in all 4 of our schools, also with all of the things they do throughout the year. Your support means the world to us. At Peasley School, we welcomed 270 students this year. We kicked things off with our kindergarten pandas and pops meet and greet and the bus practice for our littlest ones. We also welcomed new students and families for a tour of the school. From our kindergarten pandas and pops meet and greet to welcoming tours for new families, our halls are buzzing with excitement as students reconnect with old friends and make new ones. Some of the key highlights from this past couple of weeks: we have had great community turnout for all of these events. We had a band demonstration for our 5th graders. We had seamless integration of new students into school routines and the completion of our first of our safety drills, which included a fire drill. John?
All right, so we also welcomed a lot of new staff across the 4 elementary schools, and we were going to list them, but it was a really long list. But they've already quickly become a part of our communities, and we're excited to see the positive impact they'll have on our students and our families. We welcomed at Z 251 students last week on Thursday to our school for the year, and our teachers and staff have spent the first few days getting to know their students and setting those routines and expectations for the year. This week they really began diving into the curriculum, using the different resources that we have, and over the next few weeks we're going to be collecting beginning of the year data that will help us create small groups and plan instruction and monitor progress as we go through the year. And tomorrow at Z we'll be holding our first Zebra Families and Community Meeting of the year. We're going to be taking family selfies and creating family posters while we get reacquainted with our families. Then in the whole school gathering, we're going to talk about what it means to belong to our school community and how the actions we take can build or break down the community or someone's sense of belonging. So we're excited to have that tomorrow to kick off the year.
All right, it's been an eventful start to the year at Proctor. We welcomed 241 students at Proctor this year. It was exciting to welcome back our youngest kindergarten penguins. During the first few days, our focus has been on creating a sense of routine and community in the building. We've spent a good amount of time building strong relationships and fostering a sense of connection and community amongst the students so they can feel supported both physically and emotionally. We know that establishing this sense of belonging is key to ensuring that all of our Proctor penguins feel respected and valued at school. This year, we were excited to start a new tradition where we invited students and their families to come to Proctor and chalk the walk. That was the day before faculty and staff reported back to work. Our students and their families showed their appreciation for our teachers by writing notes of gratitude in chalk on our sidewalk. And then just this past Friday, the Northborough Fire Department joined us for a fire drill. It was a really nice opportunity. Happened during lunch. It was a really nice opportunity for us to practice our fire safety and evacuation procedures and understand the importance in general of making sure that we are ready should there ever be an emergency. Our teachers are also beginning our SEL curriculum second step, and we are starting with the bullying prevention unit. And then today in Mrs. Schwer's 4th grade class, our students celebrated their 4th day of 4th grade by engaging in a lot of activities around the number 4. So that was
fun. And then yesterday, our 5th grade students enjoyed the similar band demonstration in 5th grade, which is a fun way to get students really interested in the idea of playing an instrument and continuing to talk about that. And so I just think it's going to be a really exciting year at Proctor School.
First off, we are so excited to have you here at Lincoln Street School for school committee meetings. Makes for a shorter commute for me, so I appreciate that. Things may look a little bit different outside. We may have lost another tree, but we gained solar panels, and those are beautiful. Also wanted to reiterate what John said about we welcome a handful of new staff, and they are forming seamlessly into our culture in the building, and that has been fantastic. We're off to an amazing start like the other elementary schools. We have 275 students filling the hallways and classrooms. The staff are overjoyed with the new school year. In the first few days, teachers have designed lessons to include the district-wide theme of belonging and elements of our SEL curriculum. While the first couple of weeks, our students need some time with practices and new routines and new procedures, we have begun our introductions to Wit and Wisdom, ST Math, and Second Step. On Friday, we will continue our new tradition of a kindergarten clap-in for our newest polar bears. Students and staff will line the hallways, and we will cheer and clap, high five our newest kindergartners. Like the other principals, next week we will be preparing for company coming for our open house, which is on September 12th. And also we will be following that up with, on September 13th, our first PTO event, which is our Polar Bear Pizza Bash.
Great. Thank you all so much for coming tonight and welcoming you back to the start of the school year. It's been a great start for, I know my kids in my house, they've been, I'm like I was saying, I'm waiting for the bomb to drop with them because they're all very happy and I'm just waiting. I'm like cautiously optimistic it's going to stay that way. So thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments? No?
So I just want to acknowledge the principals for their hard work preparing and opening the 24-25 school year. It's not too often that an organization actually stops in June and then starts up again in August, and it takes a tremendous amount of work and planning and thought on the principals, but also our teachers and our central office leadership team. So I just appreciate all the hard work and effort, and think it has been a great start for our students, and acknowledge your efforts in making it happen. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well done with it.
Yes.
I planned it.
Next on the agenda is openings, school opening updates. Are we going to go in order, or
Yes.
is there, okay.
So,
ESY?
so we, our student support services team spends a tremendous amount of time throughout the year planning for our extended school year for many of our students. So as the academic year ends, ESY starts, and it is a great experience for our students, and Helene will share an update about this summer.
Great. Hi. So this summer we welcomed 182 students into our extended school year program at Algonquin. This included students who came in for programming throughout the week, Tuesday to Thursday, actually Monday to Thursday, as well as students who came in for walk-in services like speech or OT or physical therapy or specialized reading. Again, we're at Algonquin. This was our 3rd year in a row housing the entirety of the program at Algonquin. There are many people to thank for putting us in a good position to run a very successful program in the summer, including human resources, finance, transportation, technology, as well as our health and wellness director. We also thank Principal Bevan for welcoming us into his building, as well as the rest of his team. The facilities team at Algonquin has quite a hefty load in the summer while they are meeting the needs of the ESY program while preparing a building to be opened and ready for students and faculty at the beginning of the school year. So Mike Gorman is the facilities manager there, and he leads that work, and we work very closely with him to make sure that we're working together to make sure everyone's needs are met. Also, Kelsey Rondo was our site coordinator again this summer, and she did an outstanding job coordinating the day-to-day within the building. Excuse me, sorry. So having the program at Algonquin each summer has really allowed us to effectively and efficiently use our resources, so we're able to have our entire nursing staff in one place, all of our speech language pathologists, our occupational therapists, and really be able to have a community and a team feel, having everyone in the same place. So we really have felt the benefit of having the program continue at Algonquin each summer. In terms of staffing, we were very well staffed this year. So we had comparable numbers to last year in terms of in-district staff and external hires working in the summer. 22 of our teachers this year were in-district hires, and 8 were people we hired from outside of the district. 2 of our district nurses covered the entirety of the program. 49 educational support professionals worked in the summer, and those are folks who work for us during the school year, and we hired 34 externally to work with us in the summer. Just like last summer, many of those ESPs were then hired to continue their work in the school year, which is great. And 19 of our external hires are people who come back to us each summer. So they were with us last summer, they're with us this summer, and they've already expressed that they're looking forward to next summer. So that is great for continuity for students. And then we will be sending out an ESY parent survey so that parents can give us feedback on their experience within the program. So.
This was the second year you did it Monday through Thursday?
Tuesday through Thursday.
Tuesday through
we do
Thursday.
have some students who do come Monday through Thursday, though.
Okay.
So like there are several students across the preschool to the CAP program, the 18 to 22 program, who are, who in their IEPs have a recommendation for 4 days based on their needs. So there are kids in the building Monday through Thursday. The smallest amount of students are in the building on Monday.
Okay. And did it work? It worked well with the consolidated?
It does work well. We actually have a, you know, it was very comparable to last year in terms of the number of staff who worked during the school year and then worked in the summer. The feedback that we get anecdotally from staff is they really like the 3 days, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because then they feel like they still are getting somewhat of a summer, especially with the 7-week programs that this year started on June 25th. We took the week of the 4th of July off, which we have never done before, and then we had 6 more weeks. So staff ended on August 18th and had a week off before they were back in the building. Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing the numbers about all the staff involved. I think it really paints a great picture for us as school committee members just to know how many people are involved in ESY. So thank you so much also to everyone who was involved this summer. It sounds like it's a great program to hear the continuity of those external hires coming back year after year. I think speaks to your program and just how it's run and that they want to come back because it's so well run. So thank you so much. I did have a question. So for our youngest learners, did you feel any barriers in the Algonquin space in terms of like furniture or anything like that?
No, we actually move. We have moving day. So we move the preschool as well as our castle programs, K to 5, from their building. So this year we moved, most of the furniture that gets moved comes from Finn, especially for the preschoolers, but also for their castle program, as well as Peasley and Proctor and Trottier. So we utilize Mark's Movers, and they're great partners and have been for the last couple of years, so that we are able to have appropriate size furniture for everyone who needs it. And then we do some work in the bathrooms as well, so we have appropriate facilities for the kids.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to you and your staff, and I'll just echo what Lauren said about the return staff that want to come next year already. So I'm sure you probably do some kind of exit survey onto the program, and especially since we're going to be working on the budget starting in a couple months. Is there 1 or 2 things that you would need to make this to even be even more beneficial, more successful? I know it's successful already, no doubt about that. Is there anything that you would need that you went through the program this year?
Not when I think about things, I can't think of anything. I think the thing that we're always talking about is how to make the program attractive in a financial way for our staff to come work with us. So that's something that we always consider in the budget process, and we'll be thinking about as we prepare the budget for this year as well.
Okay, thank you. And my follow-up question is, I know that it's for the Northborough and Southborough students. Do we ever take any other students from any other districts? Like maybe staff has their children in another neighboring district, maybe they come in?
We have not.
You haven't, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Helene.
Thank you.
I just acknowledge Kate, Marie, and Deb as well. Were key partners in the planning, and I think Helene was the person who drew the short card for presenting tonight. Yeah.
All right. English language development, ELD, is next on the
Sure.
agenda.
So we have Selvi, a director of multilingual learners and equity. She ran and led her first multilingual summer program, so she's here to officially, although she has been involved in her prior roles in past years, give an update on the summer's program.
Absolutely. I'm excited to share some highlights from our 2024 Multilingual Summer Enrichment Program, which ran from August 5th through 8th and 12th through 15, daily from 8:45 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. But first, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Stacy and her custodial staff for welcoming us and making us feel at home. Keith Lavoy and Sheila Hanna for arranging our transportation. Lonnie Sotier, who was our coordinator, basically director of the program. Sandy Bansik for her exceptional work in developing an exciting curriculum for our students. And our team of 6 teachers and 3 ESPs who worked hard to bring engaging activities and experiences for our students. Of course, Sue Berger served as our nurse during this time and kept us all well and safe. This enrichment opportunity is funded through our Title IIIA grant program, and so it makes it possible for us to offer this to our English learners. For student participation, of the 68 students who attended the program, 41 of them were from Northborough. Our team this year was the Olympics, where students dived, pun intended, into exploration of the Olympics, the historic event. And grades 1 through 3 engaged with the Olympics through read aloud sessions focused on Olympic athletes' traits, learning about ancient Greek and modern Olympic symbols, and creating laurel wreaths, torches, and gold medals. They also participated in Olympic-themed math and science activities, both individually and in team settings. Grades 4 through 5 utilized cooperative learning to delve into the history of ancient Greece and the Olympic Games. They read stories of pioneering Olympics who broke barriers, exploring inclusivity and belonging in the Olympic Games, and how it applies to our larger community here at home. They researched their favorite Olympic sports and participated in the Potato Olympics, where they applied their skills in math and measurements. Middle and high school students began by analyzing primary sources like ancient Greek pottery to understand the origins of the Olympic Games. They explored Olympic venues through a digital escape room, debated the merits and challenges of hosting these games. They also engaged and designed a challenge to create mascots, torches, and had the opportunity to photograph the Potato Olympians in action. So they also looked at photography in the art section. Our program culminated in a trip to Regis College, providing a glimpse into potential educational and career pathways for our students. We concluded this program, of course, by closing ceremonies where students participated in a parade of athletes, a torch relay, and commitment to good sportsmanship. Our commitment to enrichment and growth was not limited only by our students, but 6 of our ELD teachers, 3 of whom are from Northborough, engaged in a professional development session where they work to better align our English language development instruction with the English language arts curriculum. The result of this was a tool that would track and outline themes, linguistic demands, and language functions in the ELA curriculum, thereby informing our corresponding ELD units and instruction per proficiency and grade level frameworks to better provide support for all of our students. Last but not least, I would like to invite you all to come and participate in our upcoming LPAC, Multilingual Learner Parent Advisory Council. Their first meeting is going to take place on Thursday, October 10th at 6:30 at the high school in the library. So we would love to have you join us there.
Thank you. What's the youngest grade that you said?
Grades 1 through 12.
1 through 12.
Yes.
And has there ever been thought of like the preschool or kindergarten, or is it just basically like the current?
Yeah, as far as I know, that
Yeah.
there has not been preschool or kindergarten participation, and that's basically, we are still screening and identifying
Okay.
our multilingual learners. Actually, even now, we're still screening
Yeah.
and identifying them, so I'm thinking that's the process why it takes us time, and we want to make sure we're offering it to everybody who would identify and not leaving anybody out. But that's a good thought to look into.
I teach preschool, and I know we have some kids that are new to the English language too, so I was just curious if they
Yeah.
ever went younger, but.
Because-
Is there any question? Joan?
I have one. I know the state several years ago offered the Massachusetts teachers that were working with the SEL students, we had to take an SEL course. Are they still offering the course, or do the new teachers, new staff, do they take it through their 4-year college degree, or is it still being offered for the teachers to take?
I think the SCI course is being offered in the districts of Northborough and the regional district as a free course by DESE, because we were hosting our refugee families. There are other opportunities to participate in this, but it largely relies right now on the educator to identify those opportunities and make sure they're up to speed. But the good news is we just went through our audit, and all of our educators were SCI endorsed. So we just recently looked through our new hires and identified those who would benefit from the free SCI program, and their names have been submitted to DESE.
Okay, I mean, it's a worthwhile course, and I think for every teacher, some of the techniques that they learn through that can be applied to any student in the classroom. It's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
welcome to your first full year.
Thank
Because I think
you.
you started in this wintertime, didn't you?
July 1st was the official day.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. Have a good year.
Thank you, Sel.
Yeah, Krista.
So you mentioned you went to Regis, which, was that just the older grades and they got to explore careers? So is that something you plan to continue or go to other colleges, for example?
Absolutely, yes. They were grades 6 through 12. And we did try to have our younger students step on the campus, but this year it so happened that many of the colleges in the area we contacted their programming were geared through 6 through 12. So next year we hope to collaborate with Michelle Kalin and see if we can have an opportunity to take all the grades to a campus. But we definitely want to continue every year to have the opportunity to take our students to a campus.
Yeah, that's great. I happen to work at Regis, which is why I caught my name.
Oh, really?
Also, if you need me to poke anyone, I'm willing to do that. Get them back. But it's great when we have students, we have camps and a lot of students on campus sometimes, and it's great to see them and they can see what can be beyond school. Right?
That's
So
great.
it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very so much, Salvi.
Thank you.
Keith, transportation update.
I can guarantee these next 3 reports are not as exciting.
I know, I have a lot to live up
Salvi.
to here. Transportation and, facilities updates, but, no, certainly the energy from the school is apparent, and it does start with our transportation. We want to make sure that is a good experience for kids, and that's not something we're going to start working at. So one of the things we do in preparation every year is that the work doesn't just begin in the summer. It starts in January of the previous year, looking at pending upcoming enrollments, making adjustments to the routes. I'm happy to report that many of the routes in Northborough they weren't brand new, but they were adjustments of students that were exiting our schools and coming. So there's definitely a given, what do you say, like an ebb and flow to that makes it fluid. And so we really ramps up during the summer to make sure that everything is lined up the way that it needs to be and all students are accounted for. So certainly want to give a big thanks to Sheila Hanna. She is the one that takes care of a lot of that, and I help her with anything that pops up. And so far, on our 4th day of school, we're having a good start in Northborough. We really are. We have not created any new major changes, so I think that's helped. Most of our drivers came back and successfully transitioned with the adjustments that we had, so we are seeing some good things happening. Not to say that there aren't going to be tweaks on the way. We do have a transportation request form that parents can populate with different questions. That continues to be active, but I'm very happy to report that we're not in the 800-900 request range. We're more in a couple of dozen requests. So you can see over time that has gotten certainly better and better and much easier to manage. The one thing I did want to mention is NRT is still struggling with the driver shortage. It is a thing that is happening throughout the region and does exist here in Northborough and Southborough. For Northborough specifically, we do have a couple substitute drivers in our routes that are not going to be the permanent drivers. So NRT is actively looking to fill those as we speak. So that's going to be something that's ongoing and something I'll keep the community aware of. So we are going to see things settle in over the next couple of days. We've already kind of seen that in the first 4 days, and I think settling into a good system is going to take place over the next couple of weeks. So we're off to a pretty good start in Northborough.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is ridership up or down or changed at all? I'm just curious because the middle school specifically, there's not a lot of people. I don't know. There's not a lot of people in the carpool lane picking up. I don't know if I'm like really late or not, but it seems like there's a lot more bus.
Preliminarily, it's tough to say on day 4 whether or not it is actually going to be what sticks for the year.
Yeah.
But yes, we are seeing increased ridership throughout the district.
And is that affecting the capacity on the buses?
Plus and minus, that's where
seats?
those tweaks are going to come in. So if we are seeing that a couple of buses right now are full, so we might make some adjustments, move stops off to ones that are less full to make it more comfortable for the students.
Joan?
I have 2 questions. The first one is the amount of time of a student is being on a bus. What is about the average time a student is on the bus, and are there any routes that you're looking at to lower the time on a bus?
Yeah, that's definitely part of the tweaks that we do. I mean, we did a little analysis on that, on just how long our students are on the bus, and I can say that 75+% are on for less than 40 minutes.
Okay.
And so we do have some outliers depending on where we're going, especially students that are out of district. Those routes can be longer. And obviously in the beginning, things are a little longer. Schools are getting into their procedures. There was a lot of picture taking at stops, so it's hard to say now. We got to wait for some of that stuff to settle in. I'm just saying, this is the facts, Bryce. These are the facts. Those are the things that we need to kind of play out, Joan, so we know definitely. But we keep an eye on that, and we'll over the course of the fall.
Okay, and the last one, I don't know if this would be for Greg or for you, Keith. I know last year Kristen brought up about the crosswalks and about the lights flashing. Are those all working for the walkers?
They are.
They are. We're all operational, no problems.
I checked those the week before school started.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bryce?
I should probably know this, but I was asked this morning, put on the spot, and I don't know, so I'm asking.
Okay.
Do we have a proximity to no bus riding? Right, like do we have within a proximity to the school policy about, hey, look, if you're within a half a mile, you can kind of make this work?
We do route every student that attends in our district and provide them a bus stop. However, as the school year starts, especially like here at Lincoln, there are a number of streets and neighborhoods that are close, and they can utilize a stop or be a walker, and
Yeah,
they
okay.
work on those plans with
But
the schools.
there is no limit. It is.
There is no,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there
yeah,
is a state law that says you don't have to provide a bus within a mile and a half of every school.
Yeah.
But that's not
Yeah.
what we do. We
No, 'cause
even
they're-
point to, we're providing a bus. Yeah.
A few years ago, Proctor didn't. You had to live outside
Of that, like,
outside of
Northgate area?
outside of
Yeah.
a mile was
Yeah.
a few years back, but we changed that a
That
few
same
years
one,
back,
yeah.
and so now everybody can
I
take a
mean,
bus
it's
that
just
needs it.
something that we're going back out at some point. We've got to figure out what the true cost of this is going to be long-term, and so,
Sure.
yeah, I was asking.
It's a factor.
Wanted to get an answer. Thank
Because
you.
other towns do charge if you're within the mile.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
And the weather's been nice, so we've seen a lot of bikes outside of school
That's
and a lot of
awesome.
walkers, so.
I was
I
gonna
don't
say,
think
like,
that's gonna
what
last
else,
for
what
180
else,
days.
what else
so.
can we do? What else can we have as accessible units to promote walking and biking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mary Ellen?
Yeah, Mary Ellen does some
Comment
nice
on
work.
that? I thought you had your hand
We
raised.
do walk, we partner with Safe Routes to School.
Yeah.
And we do the walk to school days at least 2 times a year, and people can do it more if they choose.
Can the community kind of build on that momentum after those days and say like, hey, we're gonna plant the flag here and say like, once, twice a week, we're gonna walk?
But yes, it could be a weekly thing, whatever you want to
Yeah.
do. You could work with,
Those walks are so nice.
Mm-hmm.
When the weather's
weather's
cooperating, sorry, I should
so they have
caveat that.
what's called walking school buses that you could build on that, so yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's a fun idea.
Yeah.
A walking school bus,
Yeah.
you know? I could see it starting over at your house
Totally.
and then
We're
just,
right at that, like,
you
kind
just
of
like
entry.
walk
Go all
the
the way
neighborhood
through
and
the
just jump
neighborhood.
on prices.
Okay.
We'll do the pickups. I'll get my hat,
Best.
my map.
I saw a bicycle bus on the news recently too, where they had a volunteer, sort of like with a crossing guard, and she was
Yeah.
on a bicycle
Yeah,
and
that's
collected
cool.
a bunch of kids as she went to the school.
It's
It was
bike
an
riding,
idea.
like making sure there's enough places for them to put their bikes out in front of the schools that allows for that to kind of continue to scale out. And so I guess I was just curious. Yeah.
All right. Facility update?
Yes. So like was mentioned by many of the principals, do want to thank the staff and Bud Richardson for their work in preparation for the school year. Obviously, that's no small task. There is a lot of work to be done. I will say, and Bud would comment this as well, is because we were out of school so early, that additional week did pay a dividend. So we were able to get to more maintenance projects, a little more painting than we have in years past, which is definitely brightened the buildings and made things great. Also, the team here at Lincoln, we hosted the recreation program for the town here at Lincoln Street School. So a huge thank you to the custodian staff and Bud for managing that. And Ally Lane is very appreciative to have it here in this building, and they had a great summer. I've talked to not only Ally, but the manager of the program, and all reported that the kids had a phenomenal experience. So that's a great partnership between the town and the schools to provide a nice program for the students. So overall, the buildings were ready to go. We were able to get a bunch of things done, smaller items that we haven't been able to in the past, which has been very great to see. And later in the agenda, perhaps the next item, I'll get into the bigger projects. So.
Any questions about facilities?
Could I just add that the work on the outside, the landscaping, do you want to speak to that
Oh, sure.
briefly?
Yeah, so one of the other benefits of that additional week is the staff here, and we also had a contractor come in and do some work for the front of our buildings, getting things ready to go. We did a little more significant project over at the Z School. I did spend some time over at the Z School a few years ago, and that area outside of the library used to drive me crazy. So talked to Principal Bell, he agreed, and we got it cleaned up this summer. So Principal Bell, yeah, I figured such. So that was a very nice addition, just brightened the space and made it a lot more attractive. So we were able to do that in all 5 schools.
And I think we're committed to making sure our facilities look as great as they are inside in terms of what students experience. I think it speaks volumes when you drive by a school and it's well maintained, the grounds look inviting. I think it sends a strong message to the community that we value education and we value the spaces students occupy each day.
I think the exterior is important, but the downside of having a gorgeous exterior is sometimes it hides the interior, as we found with the Peasley Building Committee and the tours. you know, the MSBA, they came and they pulled up the Peaslee and they were just like, this is gorgeous. Like, what are you guys, you know, doing it? And then, you know.
Then they traveled back in time.
Then they traveled back in time to
They got their Wayback
1956.
Machine.
Lauren, did you have something?
I was just going to add that I think a couple years ago we added that one of our budget priorities is to really focus on our grounds and make sure that, you know, we're paying attention to that. So it's great to hear that that is getting done, and, you know, we can certainly have discussions about what else we need to prioritize as a school committee as well in terms of budget.
And we also partner with the town. They do the mowing of our larger field areas where our custodians do the mowing that more close to the, you know, the buildings themselves. So it is a nice collaboration to, you know, collaborate with the town to get those things done on a, you know, more routine basis as well.
And I'm on the calendar committee, so that will be good to bring to them as a food for thought, that the earlier getting out does help them, you know, with
Get started.
getting started, a jump start. Joan?
And then piggyback on what you were saying, Keith, about collaboration with the town. I saw on social media a drone picture of the newly resurfaced painted, not surfaced,
Yes.
The tennis
Repaired
courts
and
and the basketball
basketball
courts,
court.
yep.
So it looked really great in a drone photo.
did.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm sure the students now at Milliken Middle School, under the leadership of Carb, is, you know, taking advantage of that, and it's really nice to have. So thank you to the town, and also, you know, for the facilities to have such a great thing happen.
Select board member, I don't know how you would say the title, but Mitch Cohen actually did some drones of all the schools and of the grounds, and he shared it with us, so I'll make sure that, I think you just have to enter your email address and then he'll send you the access to it,
Okay.
so I'll forward that to you all so you guys can see it. So
Thank you.
it does look pretty. They all look pretty. And they did the solar, you could see the Lincoln solar panels and everything.
Oh, wow, that'd be great.
Yep, that was on the newsletter. They sent out, I saw that, yeah, early in the week. I'm like, oh, I saw them working on the roof throughout the summer, and then it was to see the sky view. It was cool.
Well, I forgot they were doing that this summer, and I drove by one day and I saw the thing outside. What's going on? Hey, what's going on with Lincoln? Is there something going on with the roof? He's like, solar panels? I was like, oh, that's right, that's right. So it's nice that they kept working this summer, so. All right, next up.
Yep, so I'll roll over to some more of the capital plans, certainly start with the Milliken courts that were redone and repaired and are ready for use. You know, certainly that was a large project, big collaboration with Scott Charpentier, the superintendent of the DPW, and we were able to get it done on time. We did have a little bit of lousy weather there in August, which maybe look at the calendar a few times, but they were able to successfully get it done for the start of school, and I know that the Milliken Middle School is enjoying that renovation. But I did want to thank Scott for his coordination with Bud Richardson to get that accomplished, much needed repair to those courts. The second item that I want to report back on is the Proctor roof. I can say that we have fully completed the Proctor roof project. Certainly a huge thanks to Principal Mahoney for her work. The last chapter of it was over the summer, where we did a cleaning and recoating of the calf and gym. That also was weather dependent, but was successfully completed and reflective in the drone. The drone pictures prior to that wouldn't have looked as pretty as they did with it. So I can say I think Bud is very satisfied with how that application went, and we are expecting a better performance out of that area of the roof. So that project is complete. The next project I want to comment on and thank the town for their support is the Milliken Middle School air conditioning project that we're working on. We are almost ready to go out for procurement for the electrical side of that. There will be two portions of it. One will be the electrical upgrades to make sure it's ready for window units, and then the second will be the fabrication and installation of those units. So Becky and I are working with Bud Richardson on the preparation of that, and it should be going out shortly for procurement. But certainly a huge thanks to the town for their support of that project. And the last one, and it's good news, is that back in the early spring, we submitted a statement of interest to the Massachusetts School Building Authority for the Z roof replacement, which, if you remember at the time, we deemed as solar ready, which I believe was a good criteria, because we were contacted by MSBA about 5 days before school started, but you know, that's not a busy time of year. And we had a site visit. So I was able to get up on the roof with members of the MSBA, take a peek at it. They did a deeper investigation, and we are, you know, one of dozens of projects that the MSBA is considering for that, and I will keep the committee posted as that unfolds. We are expecting a decision by, I think, the middle of October is when they're having their meeting, and they'll determine which projects will be accepted into their accelerated repair program. So I'm excited to announce that we did have a site visit.
And that, if I understand correctly, is separate from like the Peasley Building Committee?
Correct.
Yeah, those don't compete at all.
They don't. Yeah, they're two separate programs. So the Peasley project, which we'll give an update on in a while, is their core building program, and this one was their accelerated repair program.
Okay.
So they're two totally separate entities, and you know, it's good to be considered as part of both at this point in the process.
Right, right. One doesn't, like, they don't look at you and
Correct.
say, well, you're asking for both. Right, okay, that's good. And while I'm mentioning it, Mike would like a plaque possibly on those air conditioners.
You might.
For his name.
On each one?
That's part of the
For
procurement.
bringing that up. I was like, no, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, we do appreciate this, Mike, and the support of the town. It's going to be, you know, hoping to get it done soon. And then it'll be winter. But.
Yeah. I know. They'll be cutting out the windows just as time.
Yeah, and I just would like to also echo the comments around the partnership with the town. So allocating ARPA funds for the Proctor roof, the air conditioning, the tennis courts really is appreciated. Funding could have been allocated in many different ways, but I think the partnership with the schools is important to the town, and we just want to acknowledge the funding source and their commitment to education.
Is this something that maybe Kelly, you could draft a letter to the select board just to give our gratitude for these projects?
And we can add drone pictures.
Perfect.
All right. Next on the agenda, if there's no other questions, is the professional development, PD curriculum, and new teacher orientation.
AKA everything else. So you've heard mention of some of these things as principals and directors have been sharing, but over the summer there were a number of teachers and administrators that were involved in summer professional development in a lot of different areas, some of it through proposals that they submit, and some through curriculum work that we were doing. And then as we kind of roll into the school year, everybody hopefully comes back refreshed and ready to go, and then it's a really busy time for the adults. We started with, well, a lot of things happening at once. New teacher orientation and the opportunity to welcome many new educators, introduce them to their mentors, introduce them to our administrative team and leadership, and to the sort of core foundational concepts of core values, mission, vision, strategic plan, sort of what are they becoming part of. So that's an exciting day. We also, during that time period, have our NASA administrative retreat where we're focusing on professional learning for our administrators, including work with our legal counsel, and also work launching our district theme that you heard a lot of mention of around belonging. Phil Fogelman and Danica Manso-Brown are two consultants that are partnering with us this year. They have been partners for a number of years, and they're really helping us focus on the work. There's a lot of people who've done work on belonging, but a key researcher that we are using is Jeffrey Cohen, who's a social psychologist out of Stanford and has done a lot of work in the area of belonging. So that's a book and a person's work who we're referencing a lot. Opening day with our full faculty, staff, and everyone, we also focused in on the theme of belonging and on developing some shared vocabulary, shared understandings of what do we mean when we talk about belonging, about threats to belonging, what is this concept all about. We then moved into site-based professional development, which means we were out at the various schools, and again, a lot of different things happening all at once. So I'll just highlight a few. We had professional development for our elementary educators related to a deeper dive on the writing component of Wit and Wisdom. So just deepening our knowledge base and capacity with that core ELA resource. Many of our specialists were looking at various aspects of how they can promote belonging in their course, in their classes. Our art teachers were looking at connections between Wit and Wisdom and the work that they do in art. Library media specialists and ITS were collaborating around digital literacy and computer science. We had Analytic View. You all have been introduced to our data platform, and this was a very exciting time where we rolled it out to teachers. So now all of our teachers have access to Analytic Views, and there's work done with that. And many other the principals were leading, kind of launching their focus of their community work at the school level. So a lot of different pieces going on. And then teachers, as the principals mentioned, were getting their classrooms ready to welcome students back. So those are busy days. In terms of curriculum, the things I would really mention are just that at the middle school level, we are moving into our first year of implementation of EL education, not to be confused with English language learners. It is our core ELA resource, and that's just the name of the company, EL Education. So that is, we will be starting implementation in late September, going into early October. So we're had PD over the summer, PD in the coming weeks, and preparing for the launch of that. Wit and Wisdom continues. Carnegie Math continues in the middle school. And a highlight in the elementary is that we are in phase 1 of implementing Eureka Squared Math. So there are some classrooms that are in the first phase of implementing, and the rest of the classrooms will be next year, so that it's a phased implementation, which will allow us to develop our knowledge and understanding of the curriculum, and then use the expertise of those who are in phase 1 to support the rest of our faculty and students joining phase 2. And the last update I wanted to share is we're really excited. During all of this, we were also going through a hiring process and hiring a new director of equity, belonging, and community engagement. And we're excited for Maggie Ibrahim to join us and join this work around the theme of belonging and community engagement and all of the equity work that we continue and have been doing for a long time. So that is highlighting a few of many things that are happening related to PD and curriculum and instruction.
Okay. Question, the Eureka Math, you said a few classes are doing, a few classes in each building or a few classes in one building?
Great question. There are classes in each building. The way it works is that if, let's say, there's a 3rd grade class in one building, then all of the 3rd grade classes in that building are doing it. So we kept grade levels so that people are working together as professionals. And we made sure that across Northborough and Southborough, we have someone in phase 1 at every grade level, and that we have a grade level at every school, at least. So it might be only one grade level. It might be, for example, at Peasley, 4th grade is a phase 1 implementation. At another school, it's a different grade level. So it has to do with using our teacher leaders who are part of the selection process and other teachers who are collaborating with them. And so it's allowing us to phase the professional development and kind of phase our learning.
Joan?
Well, the teachers that are doing the phase 1 of this, will there be ample time throughout the year in professional development for them just to sit down and communicate and to share the successes and things that they may need as far as if it's more manipulatives, whatever it should be? So I'm just hoping that through the PD time, they have time to sit and discuss and share.
Yes, so it's Kathy Lazat, who's our math coordinator, really carefully designed this, and for every grade level team, so for example, I used Peasley as an example, one of those 4th grade teachers is a member of our math leadership team. And that team meets monthly. And so for every team that is in phase one, there is a representative who is part of that monthly meeting so that we are sort of monitoring and continually learning about that implementation. And then the plan is that later in the year, when we're ready for professional development for phase two, those people can also play a role. We will be informed by their experience, which we will have been monitoring all year, but they can also play a role in supporting their colleagues and sharing their experience.
Okay, and then are those consumable, like workbooks every year that these students will be using, or is it a hard text?
So it's a combination, and this is one of the things we've been talking a lot about, that curriculum resources are changing. So there is a digital license that is an annual subscription, and that has a budgeting impact. That's something that's very different than the days of textbooks are gone. We don't typically buy a textbook and then get to use it for 7 years and not have to pay again. So we have an annual subscription fee, and then there are also consumables, which are the workbooks. There are also in the startup cost manipulatives and things that kind of get the classroom set up, but that's a one-time cost. So there's sort of three different things. There's a one-time cost, then there's the annual cost. We were able, through a grant that we shared with you last year, we were able to purchase almost all of the materials we need for both phases of implementation. Between our operating budget and the grant, we are fully prepared for phase one implementation, and we have already purchased all of the teachers' editions for phase two so that they can start joining and learning about the work now. And we already have sort of a plan for the budgeting of the rest of it.
Do you find that the digital platform has more resources, let's say for students that need reinforcement, enrichment, or even remediation in math?
So I think that probably the best thing to do is we'll have Kathy Lazat come and we'll do a presentation and we can get into a lot more detail about it.
Okay.
Because I think as with any of our new curriculum, it'll be a great opportunity to introduce you all to it in depth.
Okay, thank you very much.
She'll
Just
be
as
in
you,
April.
what?
In April.
In April, okay. Save all my questions for that. Just like
Well,
we did
and
Wit and Wisdom.
I
so-
was going to say, I'm sure she'd be happy to talk as well.
Yep, thank you.
Anything else? No? All right, thank you so much. Special education and civil rights monitoring report.
Through the chair, do we want to let our principals
Oh, yes.
begin their evening?
I mean, I don't know, you might want to hang around.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you.
coming.
Okay. Bye, have a nice evening.
Hi, Marie. Hi. Hello, everybody. I'm here tonight to present the Special Education and Civil Rights Monitoring Report. It was submitted on, the final report from DESE was issued on July 10th, and it is currently available on our website under Student Support Services. This audit, called the Tiered Focused Monitoring, could not have been done without the Herculean effort of my team. So I'm going to give them an accommodation of either raising their hand or standing up, but I want you to see who they are. So we have Kate Clark, who's an assistant director, and Helene Desjardins, who you've already met, another assistant director, and Deb Lemieux, another assistant director. So them, as well as our admin assistants at our schools, did an unbelievable job in gathering all this data, and it's a lot of data. So we were part of Group A this time, which focused on student identification, on IEP development, and we had a lot of record review from all 10 schools. And then programming and support services, they looked at, and equal opportunity. We had 33 special education standards assessed, and 32 of them were compliant and fully implemented, and one was partially implemented. And then we had 4 civil rights standards, all compliant and fully implemented. The partial implementation was around extended evaluations. And they found that we held one evaluation beyond the 40th day, on the 45th day, and that was it. So we have a corrective action plan in place where we're going to inform staff that it is now a 40-day window, and then we have to analyze some of the records. DESE will also look at the records again for any extended evals, and then we'll be done. So pretty impressive for all of those standards that we were evaluated on. We were also evaluated on initial evaluation timelines, all compliant, early childhood transition, all compliant, and secondary transition, all compliant. So we also had feedback in an April session from DESE. Mike McDonald was our coordinator, and he wanted to give us some feedback from his on-site visit, and he met with central office, and he said that some of the comments were the responsiveness of our team was notable because there was lots of work done by all of us. Our self-assessment, which was submitted prior to DESE coming on site, was rated as one of the top of all the others that he had reviewed that year. He said that all of the self-assessment uploads were all on time and were able to be reviewed before he came on site. Our continuum of programming is posted on our web, and he found this to be notable and open and with candor. Our funding is transparent. Our files were well organized. Examples of best practices included, we have this letter that goes out with every IEP called an N1, and we clearly documented rescheduling of all meetings or anything that we were in regular contact with parents if things, for whatever situation it was. Translations were all well done, and everything was very well documented. We also have evidence that we reach out to our partners on the outside, like DDS and DMH, to invite them to meetings at the high school. So we involve them before students get to age 22. So they're involved in their IEP team meetings to make sure those transitions go smoothly to those outside services. Our consistency with documentation was across all 3 districts. And then he said that basically we did a decent job. Parent surveys that he received, DESE did 1,600 surveys, and 193 were filled out, and that's a 12% response rate, and they consider a good response rate at 10%. So 92% of parents said the school welcomes all families, the school is warm and inviting, the CASTLE program is amazing, and we are immigrants and feel welcome. Sometimes services were different based on geographic location because we have our CASTLE programs in some schools and our other our language-based programs, et cetera. There is a trend of parents getting independent evaluators when they disagree with the team's findings. And basically all 80% to 70% was in the agreement range, which is slightly above average. What is worth noting is that our survey results were positive, and parents are generally happy with services in the 10 school districts. So you can read the report yourself. It's on our website, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Joe?
I have no questions about the report, but I have another one. But I'd like to thank you for this report while at the same time servicing the students and the parents in the district. This is a monumental task when you have to do this and everything is up to order with the state. So kudos to you. I did send something up, and I talked to you a little bit earlier about it, the new form for the IEPs, and I'm hoping I sent it to Superintendent Martineau and the 2 chairs for the September combined meeting. Is that new IEP form, is that in place now, or does that have to be, do you have a window of opportunity to implement it?
It is in place now. Our eSped system, our frontline system, has already been converted so that we can start to use the new IEP forms, but we're not going to go back and do them all now. We're going to do them as the IEPs become due.
Okay.
So it's not a Herculean task for our staff. So it's like as they come.
So like if someone has a 2-year IEP, they will not be getting the new IEP form until the reeval comes up or something like that?
No, every year, annually, we have an IEP team meeting.
Oh, you do
And
every
at
year.
that meeting, they will be required to go to the new form.
Okay, so any students that would come up through the ranks and would have a new IEP be identified starting, September 1, they would get the new form then?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody now, from this date on, will get the new form when they have an IEP team meeting where they need to generate a new IEP.
Okay.
Either annual or 3-year reeval.
And you seem to
Or
be...
initial.
Okay. And you seem to be excited about it when I was talking to you before the meeting. You thought it was
Right.
good. There's more student input into it,
It's-
right?
Well, our preschoolers have to have a vision statement. So it starts all the way in preschool, and
Wow.
it's pretty cute, actually.
I bet that would be. They say
Yes.
the cutest things.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
So it'll be every single year from pre-K all the way up. The students are involved. They're not at their meetings until age 14, or they're not
Okay.
required to be at their meetings till age 14, but that vision statement is gathered prior to the meeting, and parents have more direct input into the IEP process. You'll see, for those of you who have students on IEPs, you'll see. And the general ed teachers have better information in how to service kids in the classroom with the way the new format is. So yes, we are excited, can you tell?
That's great. Just something from what you just said. You said 14-year-olds can be at their IEP meeting? How-
From the age of 14
14 up. What would you say the percentage we have of students attending?
Mostly all.
They have, yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And
That's great.
They might
No,
not come for like the
right.
first part of the meeting, but they all at least come to the beginning.
Even our
Right.
most significant
Right.
students, they're very much part, I'm at the high school, sorry.
No, that's okay, thank you.
Yeah, they do.
That is wonderful. So do you record what they're saying and get it
Yes.
into? No, okay.
Well,
They're either
what-
participate and some students might do something with their special ed teacher ahead of time to present at the meeting with a PowerPoint. They access the meeting in the same format that they would access any other learning.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for the education on that. Ooh, love it. Thank you.
Well,
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks.
Can I just say a couple points too? Also, thank you, Marie, and to your team for the tremendous amount of work. So they live in a land of legality and laws and requirements, and they do an excellent job making sure that we are compliant. I also want to point out that in addition to special education, we are also audited on civil rights monitoring, and there were several civil rights standards that were also audited, and those are for general education requirements, and there were no findings. They found that the standards that were audited were fully implemented. I think that's important to note, and Heather was part of that work as well.
There were 4 of them that I mentioned before. 4. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Marie. Next on the agenda is the 24-25 school committee presentation schedule. That's what I was mentioning to you, Joan, about April. The mathematics is listed under the April
Thank you for
meeting
that,
agenda.
Kelly.
Yeah. So that's the presentation. If anybody sees anything that, that they, have input on changing or whatever, just let us know. The one thing that it's not in here, it's not in our schedule, but it is to note, is that we have a number of meetings this year that aren't on Wednesday. They are actually on Monday, different, yeah, so that's just a note, just the, Monday, September 30th, which is the end of this month, is actually our October meeting. And then November 4th is a Monday, and January 6th is a Monday. The December meeting, it's the combined meeting, so that will be at the high school, it won't be here. Yeah, so I didn't know if anybody had any objections to those dates or not. I don't think we ever like necessarily approved them last year or whatever, but if anybody has any conflicts or whatever, just let us know. Anything else you want to say for the presentation?
No, I think that if people, this is a draft.
Yep.
So if members want to shift or add, reach out to Kelly, and at our weekly meetings, Kelly and I will modify the draft presentation schedule. I will note that the principals have worked to reauthorize their school improvement plans. So the presentations in the fall primarily will focus on presenting their new two-year school improvement plans. 3 years.
Yes, John.
And I'd just like to thank Kelly and the administration for putting the curriculum on, because I've been asking for that years past. But every year when I see them on it, I'm glad to see that, because we get those at the regional level, and I think it's important here at the K-8. So thank you, and for the extra staff that have to come out for an extra night. Thank you, it's greatly appreciated.
Do we want to have the special education team begin their evening?
Yes.
Thank you
You
so
can
much.
stay, you're always welcome.
Thank you so much for coming. The discussion on free preschool.
So a couple points about tuition-free preschool. The first is that I think in the next year, we really need to have conversations around preschool and its current location, which is in Southborough. The Public Schools of Southborough is embarking on a potential building project and creating a 2 through 5 elementary school, which would mean that during construction, we need to bring back Northborough preschool to Northborough potentially. So it's a conversation we need to have about where, what space, what are the options. So that's work that Keith is taking on, and we'll have presentations throughout the year. And the next conversation we need to have is looking at, universal preschool, looking at tuition costs, and what is our vision as a community for preschool. So I think that's a conversation that we can engage in. I think it's a larger conversation than just the community of Northborough because of vouchers and working with community partners. I think one of the goals of the state is not to create preschool structures with public schools that actually limit the number of preschools that are available outside of a public school offering. So that's something we'll have to discuss and navigate over the next year or two.
I'm excited. Yeah, no, as you mentioned, it's been a discussion at the state level for a little while in recent future, recent past. And I think at the moment it's been sort of overwhelmed by other things going on in the political spectrum, but I foresee it definitely coming back. And I'm very proud of the Northborough schools and Massachusetts schools in general, but I have friends in other states like Mississippi and Florida who have free preschool, like the preschool kids get picked up on the bus with the elementary school kids, and it's just another grade. So I would love to see eventually something like that done around here as well. Obviously that's a while off, but I'm really glad that there's a conversation happening.
I'd also like to be ahead of it and not be one of the last people to get it, like we were with kindergarten. I think we should.
Just need to get that in.
Just need to get that in. One of the last of the state to get it, but I think let's set an example of our community and how important education is, public education for all students. So.
And I think for families, the cost of childcare is significant, and it does have an impact on our young families. So I think that is something that is really important. And then secondly, we're going to have to recruit a whole new generation of educators to educate our Northborough students, and looking at ways we can differentiate our offering, our employment. And one of the ways we can differentiate is also offering faculty and staff with childcare.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that, you know, we've had initial and preliminary conversations on, but it's all connected to, again, what do we want to provide, what services do we want to provide the community, and how can we differentiate the public schools in Northborough to Westborough, Hopkinton, Shrewsbury, and I think that is something that would place us in a unique space.
I'd like to second both of those thoughts as someone whose life has been ruled for the last 10 years by childcare, and I also have used the childcare on my campus. So as a faculty member, I get a discount at the Regis Children's Center, and they are wonderful, and still has ruled my budget and pacing of my family and everything else. But it is wonderful to have it on campus and right nearby. So I think it's great because we're thinking about that. I hadn't even thought of that aspect, that we would be able to do that. That'd be a wonderful offering for our faculty and staff here.
Next on the agenda, we have an approval of grants and donations, and approval of $500 grant from the Special Olympics Massachusetts, Inc. to the Melican Middle School for its commitment to inclusive and unified basketball.
So Melican is considered a unified champion school, and we're very proud of the unified program that has begun at Melican, and the $500 helps us to continue to grow and expand the program in the years ahead.
John?
I move that we approve the $500 grant from Special Olympics Massachusetts, Inc. to Melican Middle School for its commitment to inclusion and unified basketball, and thanks to the Kathleen Lutz, Director of Inclusive Schools Initiatives from Special Olympics, MA.
Second?
Moved by Joan, seconded by Bryce. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you so much, Special Olympics. And thank you for Melican for offering this amazing opportunity for our students, for all students. All right. Old business, 24-25 subcommittee liaison assignments. Are there any changes? Does anybody have any changes, or is everybody good with keeping things the way that they? Joan?
I'm happy with one that I'm on. I don't know if the additional appointments, mentor to new members, we don't have that. I maybe put that into the inactive, because we all seem to be pretty senior here now, right? And that's one that I was on.
So one thought is that because we are, 3 districts, 1 community of learners, and we have 4 committees, that having, it would be good for a Northborough school committee member to mentor a new member on the region or a new member on the Southborough committee. So I think having that availability and flexibility is something that would serve each of the towns well.
Okay, so I'll resend that comment that I made.
Yeah, particular Southborough is going to have 2 potential new.
In the region too.
Okay. In the region too, so. Lots of newness coming around. So, any other changes? No? All right, so we'll republish that.
Is the Peasley committee on here?
Yeah, I think we.
Is the Peasley committee on here?
I think we just need to add it.
It is on the under additional appointments.
Oh, I
Peasley
see
School
it.
The
I see it.
4th row,
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. MSBA update. I don't know if you have any more update about the roof and the Peasley.
Sure. So I'll start with the Mass School Building Authority's core building program. So as we all know, the town of Northborough was invited to for eligibility for Peasley Elementary School. So a building committee has been formed. The eligibility phase is a 270-day phase. It began in April 1st and actually ends in December, end of December. The Peaslee Building Committee is going to convene for the first time on September 10th at 8 o'clock virtually. And it will appoint a chair, a vice chair, and secretary, and also set future meeting dates. The eligibility phase is actually the phase where there's the least amount of work and effort. Behind the scenes, the central office has been working on the key milestones, and we'll present that to the building committee on the 10th. And the other work that we did as a committee is secure the funding for the feasibility study at town meeting this past spring. So that is also completed. So I think we're in a good place. And the first meeting will be on September 10th, which I believe is a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And Keith, do you want to give the roof?
Sure. I did earlier as far as the capital project, but one thing I did want to reinforce is that we were able to secure solar feasibility for that. I didn't go into detail about that, so that is one thing that during the tour was commented on as, oh, I'm glad you're solar ready, that's going to help, and I could see that being made as an annotate. So I think that was a key step that we took back in the winter of last year in preparation for the statement of interest. So hopefully we're slated well, and like I said, I'll give the committee an update as soon as I hear from the MSBA.
Did we find out if they need approval of funding? Or
We did not hear back.
We did not hear back.
Okay. Solar update?
Yes, so as the drone pictures show, I really want to thank Select Energy for their partnership with us. They're the same company that we use for the solar array that's on top of Algonquin that was installed in 2020. The same company has helped us with the installation here at Lincoln Street as well as at Proctor. And they were able to use the summer months to get it all installed. So one key point of note is that there is additional work to be done, but this is more of the connectivity that needs to happen and the linking to the grid, which is more of a longer process that National Grid gets involved in. So we are National Grid ready. So everything that needed to be done was done. A few minor punch list items that need to be complete. So the majority of work has been completed, and there will be no major interruptions to school. But certainly I'll work with Principal Callahan and Principal Mahoney when we get closer to that point. But I do not predict any type of interruption. Just people on campus, so we not have to know who they are. They'll all be quarried. All that sort of things will definitely occur. So we will definitely have additional updates to provide, but we're well on our way. And I think the latest estimate I got from Select is that we'll have connectivity right around the holidays, so mid to late December.
Things are heating up.
Literally.
Any questions? Okay. Superintendent reports to the committee, enrollments.
So in your packet is the enrollment report as of August 21st. We are in compliance with our class size policy, plus or minus, 1 over, 2 over in some spaces. We are monitoring 5th grade and 2nd grade for class size, but there are spaces in other elementary schools. So at this point in time, I think we're in a good place. I think, again, we're pleased with where we are with enrollment at this point in time.
Assistant Superintendent Becky, do you have?
Yes. She gets the next two.
Would you like to do the next?
Sure. So before I go into detail on the two monthly budget reports that are included in the packet, I just wanted to give you an overview of what we will be presenting to the committee going forward in terms of our financial reporting. So this summer, we had a lot of internal meetings. We looked at our budgets. We're always looking to make sure that we're in compliance with mass finance law. And one of the things that we determined that we would be doing on an ongoing basis is we will be presenting to the committee any line items that are on our budget that are function codes, I should say, that are in a deficit of $3,000 or greater for the committee's approval. We have been working over the past few years with our building principals and with our departments, where if there is a purchase that needs to be made that is going to send an account over a budget, they do need to identify where else in the budget those funds are going to come from. They submit that in a Google form to me, and then I will make that approval. We're not making changes in our system. We are simply tracking that and making sure that those lines are not being overspent, so that we are always coming out even at the end of the budget cycle. So that is something that you are going to see on an ongoing basis from me, is that I will be highlighting those accounts and asking you to approve those over expenditures. And I will provide you also with the rationale for it and where the money is going to be coming from. So the first report that is included in your packet is the fiscal year 2024 budget. I am pleased to report that we fully expended all $28,001,227 of the operational budget. The finance team does a great job in terms of really watching everything and making sure that we are coming in right on budget. The accounts that I am asking the committee to review are included in your packet. There were 35 accounts. I did list all of the accounts that were over budget. Some of them were less than that 3,000, but I wanted you to have the full picture for the fiscal year 2024, and 28 of those 35 were over the 3,000 mark. And I did provide a explanation for each of those lines as to why they were. I will say some of the bigger line items were because we had money budgeted in other line items, and we continue to look at our DESI chart of accounts and making sure that we are aligning with that. So, for example, we created a substitute long-term line item. That money was budgeted in our teacher salary line item, so that's where that offset came from. But those are just some of the examples of the overages. And so I would ask the committee to approve the fiscal year 2024 monthly financial budget as of 6/30, obviously until audited, and then these line items that are over budget.
I just like to make note, I'm very upset with the team leaders, $8 over budget. That's really unacceptable. I mean, I feel like.
We try.
I think it's also important to note that of the $28 million, the line item transfers represents a little over 2% of transfers. So it's for a $28 million budget, there weren't a lot of transfers that took place.
Make a motion?
Yeah, good luck with that one.
It's more I move to accept the FY24 monthly general fund report until audited, and to approve the function codes that were overexpended in fiscal year 2024.
Second.
Motion by Lauren, seconded by Joan. Any discussion?
I do have a question.
Okay, Lauren.
So for the over expenditures, my question is, internally, what has your process been about approving that? Is it just taking the building principals, say, okay, if this is what you need, great, as long as you find the money somewhere else, so that when we're approving these over expenditures, we just sort of know what the mindset is?
It's generally a conversation happens first, and then they do have to submit that request on a Google form, and I am asking them exactly what is it that they are looking to purchase. I'm asking them the exact amount. Again, where are they in that budget? Which line item are they planning to take it from? So, and I've never seen it for anything that's, I would deem frivolous. It's generally for things that they have identified, maybe later after the budget process, that need to be purchased, or something that they had planned to purchase now has had a cost increase, and so they need to make up that difference. So there is a lot of conversation, and I know Greg, Stephanie, Keith, and I I feel like are always having conversations about when something does pop up and what are the next steps, and are there other forms of funding maybe that might be available besides the operational budget. So yes, there's a lot of internal conversation.
And does that the differences in sort of the money that was allocated and then the money that was needed for certain function codes is what was actually spent at the end of the fiscal year. Does that affect the following fiscal year and sort of how you begin the budget season?
Sure. So that's a great point. One of the things that we are looking to do is we're trying to look at the report that we provide to you, because right now it just shows what the approved budget was and where the expenditures were. We're trying to create 2 columns where it will be your original approved budget, any adjustments, and then the new budget. We had tried a few years ago, I think it was when I first started, to make some of these line item adjustments, and it was really throwing off our budgeting process. So we're hoping that by reconfiguring that report this year, that it will give all of us what we need in order to move forward. I do know that when I'm seeing things, or when schools are seeing things, that we're having the conversation that we have to keep this in mind when we start the budget process. You know, I've started to create accounts or make listings of accounts that I think need to be created if it's something new. For example, we're expanding, you know, with our multilingual learners and creating some new accounts for those purchases. So I think it does spur the conversation when we get into the budget cycle.
Thank you.
Joan?
I'd just like to thank you, Becky, for your professionalism and your expertise in doing all these budgets, and especially for your time and commitment to the districts. And I know that even at the town meeting that was held in April, looking to our fiscal year 26 budget, you answered some really great questions. All of you were so well versed, Greg, Keith, and Nat, but even you, when you had to answer a question from the audience at the time, you're right on the mark with that. So I appreciate this because it shows the collaboration with the taxpayers, how we're really watching every dollar and every cent that they give to us, and we spend it in the most expensive way. So thank you very much.
Bryce?
To have 2% of all line items go over in that amount and still be a net, and still be where you are, is amazing. So like, I'm glad we have the detail here, but there's almost a part of it that's like, you're showing off.
I don't know about that.
And I think it's great, because I do think, to Joan's point and to the points made before, like, y'all are on it, and it's really, we really appreciate all of that. So thank you.
Thanks.
Did you have any questions?
Lauren asked all my questions, and those were great answers, so now I'm running.
I guess my only thing is, and I apologize if it was already said and stuff, but, okay, so for the people who don't hear the budgets and things, so by this, it's saying that we went over the budget 689,000, or no, these are the things within our budget that were just shifted, but we
took
still.
from other, if you notice, there are some lines within the budget
that went high over and went low,
yes,
and
exactly.
And so these are just the ones that hit, but we still made the budget.
Exactly.
What we were supposed to do.
We landed on zero.
You landed on zero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so I just want the community to know that, and everything, but.
I think this is just another layer of transparency
Yeah.
for the committee, and also making sure we're in compliance with, Mass General Law around monitoring transfers. I think we do need to have a conversation at some point around what's the threshold. $3,000 is, this is new, so we'll have a conversation around what should the threshold be. That is just an arbitrary number.
Yeah, but sometimes you guys get stuff late. Like sometimes there's a skipped invoice. Sometimes there's an emergency purchase. Sometimes there's a you've got good controls. I don't know that I would.
Well, we're thinking of increasing the amount, like from 3,000. Having a conversation. Is it 3,000 or is that?
What further?
Or
approval,
should
what
it be
further
like
approval
10 or
do you need?
15?
10,000.
Like,
Yeah,
is
all
it
right.
like, is 3,000 too small for like,
Correct.
we would be called every week saying,
Yeah.
oh, we moved this, we moved that.
And we'll have the same conversation with Southborough and their
Yeah.
region as well.
Joan?
And even like what Bryce was saying about a lost invoice, we also are teaching every student that comes into our building. We get move-ins Like last year, we had like, what was it, in October, we had something like 10 to 13 kids that came in. We never know, or some child is going to be diagnosed with something new. And we service each student that comes in, and we expect our staff to do it because we have such high regard for our staff and we know they can do it. And you hire such great people, but yet there are variables in the educational services that we have day one. Tomorrow they could change, you know, but yet we don't say you can't have those services. We make sure that they have it. So thank you very much for making those transfers, because we teach every single student that walks into this building and according to their needs and abilities. Thank you.
We had a motion by Lauren and a second by Joan. We've had our discussion. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll move on to the fiscal year 2025 report. So again, I did provide the committee with an overview of where we stand. One thing I do want to point out is that we do have about 1.6 million remaining on the bottom line, which is funny to say. It's, you know, this is as of August 31st. It's 2 months into the fiscal year. It's a large budget, and we only have 1.6 million, but that is because we do have $25.9 million encumbered, and the majority of that is for salaries and also for contracts that we expect to pay out over the coming year. Again, Pam Roberts, Caroline Willard, they've done a great job in terms of making sure that we have put in all of the known encumbrances to the best of our ability. For example, our contract for our bus services, our custodial services, and again, all of the salaries for the year. So that is really the biggest expenditure at this point in time in fiscal year 2025. There are right now 11 function codes that are over budget. You can see Bryce one is 2 cents over.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed. Seriously, it's like, I mean.
So again, I did list out everything just so that you could see where we stand on some, but the majority of them are under that $3,000 cap. But again, I would just ask the committee to approve any of these expenditures that are over budget at this point in time.
I move to approve the additional expenditures in the general ledger lines that have gone over budget.
And the fiscal year monthly general fund report.
And the fiscal year monthly general fund report.
Second. Okay. Motion by Bryce, seconded by Kristen. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you so much. Next is the budget calendar priority?
Budget priorities.
Budget priorities. It's a draft. I feel like it's been a couple years. I mean, we've tweaked it a little bit every year, but I don't know if we want to do a deeper dive this year. Was it last year? Did we have a version that had like things that have been on? Did we have a dated one? I remember talking about like this has been on and how long has it been on? Did we? Am I imagining that?
I think we had
Did
a
I dream
discussion,
that?
but we never created the actual document, so these are the actual FY25 budget priorities rolled up to this year. My recommendation is to have a separate virtual meeting to really talk about what are the priorities in preparation for the October meeting. I think these priorities really help us move through the budget process and really help, you know, set the stage and guide the process. So that'd be my recommendation.
I think it's a good. Does anybody have any opposition to that, Kristen?
No, not opposition. I was going to say,
Or comments,
I think your idea is a great one to see where
we can
has
put that
it
together.
progressed, right? Yeah, because actually also, you know, like having done this once, I don't really have the
Has this been
history.
on for 10 years?
Yeah,
Right,
because that's what I feel like. I feel like some
let's
things
be
have been
real.
on for a long time, which are, some are standard things that we want to keep on, because that's our priority, but some things I feel like it's
good to know if they've been on for so long, then,
Do you think that there would be value in inviting Mr. Stockland, our representative on the finance committee, to our meeting so that he can be part of this discussion of, or at least
I don't know
an ear?
if he's still on it. I see Susan, I don't know if she's on the, are you representing any, or you're just here? Oh, okay. I didn't know because I know you were on the appropriations. Financial planning. Financial planning. Was that, yeah, so I didn't know.
But then Scott's still on?
Is he our, yeah, he
We
would.
had a meeting last evening, and I told him you guys had a meeting tonight. He said he might reach out to the superintendent today. So I'm not representing anybody but myself.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Sorry to put you on the spot. Yeah, we can.
So also in your, whoops.
So Greg, just tying on what was said about the years in it. So before we have a virtual meeting going over these, could Cheryl go back?
Yeah, we'll put together a kind of a table with the budget goals.
Yeah, because I would say, I could guess and say special education team chairperson, maybe 2 years, and I might be surprised and it's 3 years that it's been there, or assistant principals. So it'd be good to know what has been there. And
like
I think
what
it's good for the history and the progress, yeah.
For me.
Good
I
idea.
think we also talked about prioritizing each of the budget goals as well.
Yeah,
so-
I think we did that towards the end of the budget season. I feel like I remember seeing some sort of chart seeing.
We came up with a plan.
Yeah, a
each
plan
year.
of, okay, we
Yeah.
can't do it this year, then when can we do it, type of thing,
So
so.
we may want to be a little bit more intentional about our goals.
Specific on it,
For
yeah.
this budget season.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, maybe less general and more specificity and thing. Might be good. So we'll hopefully get that. We've got 2 other meetings this month. We've got the 18th for the combined, and then we have our other one on the 30th too. So do you think we'll be able to do
We'll
that?
work on trying
Okay.
to find a time that works best for the
Okay.
committee.
Otherwise, I feel like if we do behind the scene, well, obviously it's never behind the scene, it's gonna be in front of the scene, but off this meeting, we could always do a couple, and then maybe not have it on the October budget, on the October agenda, but maybe in the November, but then it will be like, almost like ready to go.
We could also, another idea is have the budget subcommittee take a draft.
Yeah.
And then come back and present a draft for discussion that way.
Yeah.
It might be more efficient with people's time.
Yeah.
Sure. And then if that's the route you end up taking, can you
Yeah.
still invite us as listeners to that meeting?
Oh, yeah, obviously, yeah, we can even post it too as like a special, like how we've done it in the past.
So then the quorum is just
Yeah.
2 people instead of 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we've done that for like operational budget meetings and things like that in the past. All right, school committee member reports. I have nothing. I mean, I'm sure I do, but I don't.
School's back.
School's back. There's a report. Joan?
I have reports. The first one I wanted to pass out, something that I'm going to be doing, it's online, and this was on MASC. It's Friday, it's going to be 1 hour. I just made a copy of my email, and it's something offered through MASC. It's an update on public comment, and it's going to be Friday, September the 6th, 2024, from 12 to 1. So I'll be able to join. I know, Lauren, you're teaching. Don't give up your lunch hour for this. And so, Kelly, I will, if there is something important on this, I will let you guys know, and maybe Kelly, through you and Greg, put it on the agenda for next year, for next month, in case there is something that's important that comes up. It just says an update, so, okay? So I'm going to be doing that on Friday. From the Council of Aging, really the Northborough Senior Citizen, I'm on that committee, is they have an Oktoberfest coming up on Thursday, October 3rd at Whitney Place in Northborough from 4:30 to 8 o'clock. They're going to have German-themed small bites from Sirloin's Catering. They're going to have drinks, photo booth, raffles, live music, Bavarian desserts, and more. Tickets are $30 each and available at the front desk. And the other one I have is the liaison to the Northborough Ed Foundation. At the Applefest Gala coming up, they are looking for selling tickets for Friday, September 20th, 2024 at Juniper Hills Golf Course. And it is going to be, tickets are $65 per person, and the proceeds benefit all the Northborough schools along with Algonquin. It's a cash bar, and a lucky number lotto will be there. Cocktail attire is requested, and it just said that as we know, that Applefest the NEF helps to support programs like the Northborough Children Books Reward, Read Across America, and all the wonderful grants that they give to all the schools. And if parents want more information, I think, Greg, you put it in the virtual backpack?
Correct.
So, because there was a question about distributing actual hard copies to the schools and learning that it goes through the virtual backpack.
It's also linked on the Northborough News, so that's available too.
Okay, thank you. That's all my reports.
Educational policy, none at this time. Policy development, and distribution, second reading, new donations, sponsorship, and advertising policy K-240.
So this policy was included in the June packet. I believe the committee decided just to pause because of the agenda at the time, and to take it up at this meeting.
So I feel like this is a pretty solid policy, modeled after the regions. I think that one of the discussion points we had at our policy subcommittee meeting was, is the intent of this policy, basically, will this policy cover the questions we may have as a committee or as a district about donations, sponsorships, and advertising. So that was sort of one question that kept coming up to us. And I think we've sort of been doing this sort of like circle, like we don't really know, we think it will. We keep coming back to that idea of PTOs and whether PTOs have enough guidance in this policy without us being, I think, too nitty-gritty in the details. So my thoughts are, I think it's a robust policy. I think that we should approve it. And then if there are instances where either the district, PTOs don't feel like there's enough guidance, it's an opportunity for the policy subcommittee to reconvene and take a look at what's not working. What do you think, Kristen?
Agreed. Yeah, well, you summarized our meeting, which was a while ago now. Well, yeah, I think it's exactly that. We wanted to have something comprehensive, but not too prescriptive where we were getting down every detail.
Question? So if we approve this policy tonight, would this then be sent to the PTOs and even NEF so that they would have it and be aware of what our guidelines are?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I think once the policy is in place, we'll.
Sorry, there was a fly. I was about to
I thought she was gabbling me out.
I was gonna gavel. I was gonna gavel the fly. I was like, oh, my friend Rebecca would not.
We were watching. We were curious. Yes, we would make sure that we had an opportunity to review the policy with PTOs, NEF, all the support organizations that do support our work.
Okay.
And make sure that any questions they have are answered and there's clarity. And in this policy, there's also a lot of flexibility. So
I'm going to move that we approve the donations, sponsorships, and advertising policy K-240.
Second.
Moved by Lauren, seconded by Kristen. Discussion. Yeah, my only thing would be, again, after it circulates to the people, that we are just, maybe lenient or, with them. I feel like we are in anyways, but just so, maybe it's like the year is like kind of like a grace year type of rollout, and then maybe be definitely more strict policy for next year. Even though it is September, nobody likes anything sprung on them, so if this does change anybody's, any of their things, then at least they'll have this year for like a grace period to then
And this is the policy that exists at Algonquin Regional High School.
Yep.
It has not restricted
Yeah.
the work of, APTO or boosters. It just provides some
Guidance.
protection for us around,
Yeah.
around what sponsorships look like and
Yeah.
making sure they're aligned to our values as a district.
Great. All right. No other discussion? All in favor of the motion on the table? Unanimous? Thank you, Policy Subcommittee, for all your hard work on this. I appreciate it, especially because it was kind of my idea to throw in a new policy in our book, so.
Could I just make one other
Yeah.
comment around policy? I did, in the superintendent's update, include a draft of dates for this year's work around policy. I just want to make sure everyone saw that. I'll have Cheryl reissue that, so it's at the top of your inbox.
I thought that was the 23rd, right, as our first.
Yeah.
All right, distribution of personnel reports and new staff appointments.
So we have Heather Richards here to share all the great work happening in our HR department.
Heather, thank you for coming and waiting until
Oh,
2
you're welcome.
hours to get to your agenda item. Appreciate it.
You're most welcome, thank you. So it's been an interesting and fun, eventful summer in the Human Resources Department. And it's interesting hearing the principals talk about their new hires and then hearing the ESY talk about what the HR department has done to support ESY in the summer, and then to hear about new teacher orientation. So it's interesting because HR is really interwoven with many of the things that we do within the district. And we certainly understand that if we are supporting our staff with the variety of HR needs that come up, then our staff is able to really focus on and support the students. So as you can see, there's been a little bit of activity, actually quite a bit of activity, with staffing changes and with hiring. But I would like to thank Nina Wall and Elaine Chisholm, who are the HR team. And so we work very closely together to make sure that all of our new hires, all 34 of them, have a positive experience when they come into the district. And we have received a lot of positive feedback from our new hires about the onboarding process and how efficient and helpful that has been. So we have, when somebody is hired, we have a welcome to the district email, and it has a long list of information and things that are really helpful. So if, for example, if somebody is an ESP, the ESP handbook is provided to them in the welcome email, so they can start to familiarize themselves with our procedures within the district. So you'll see there's a lot of activity, 34 new hires. That's a great amount of hiring, and we do this with the 3 districts. So it certainly is not just the public schools of Northborough, but all 3 districts that we support. And I just want to give a shout out. If anybody is looking to substitute within our district, then we certainly are still accepting applicants for substituting opportunities. And the application process is right online under Human Resources and Employment Opportunities.
Are you looking for daily substitutes or long-term substitutes?
Primarily daily substitutes.
Daily substitutes, okay.
Which is nice because people can jump in and work for a few days, and if they have other commitments, they do not have to be obligated to those days.
Okay. Another question? Dealing with, I don't know if it's Greg or you, Heather, are we looking at our staff and to see how they're, I hate to use the word aging, but I know with the baby boomers in my era, okay, there was a big bubble, okay. Is there any other, do we have to look at our staff, are we, you know, or is there a large segment that's going to be retiring? Do we have to look at that, and do we have enough staff to fill those positions coming up?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we certainly do look at our demographics of our staff, and that is something that we are talking about and anticipating. And just because somebody is in a certain age band doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready to retire. But we are definitely looking at that and trying to figure out how do we anticipate our needs in the future as the retirements may increase.
Okay.
And I'll just add that I think that's the work we do around collective bargaining, making, again, this a very attractive employer, and people want to, come and work for the public schools of Northborough. We do have, if you look at our demographics, we have a very experienced workforce right now, which is to our benefit. Our teachers are experienced, our students are getting experienced teachers, which is outstanding. But we do need to have a strategy to look at recruitment and making sure that we're prepared for any changes in the number of staff that we need in future years.
I think that goes hand in hand, like what Kevin was talking about, and Greg, you, as far as that preschool program, the free preschool, and how we could have staff members, allow them, and I think Becky talked about that too, is have staff members to bring their children and to be in our system. I think it makes it a lot better if the kids, teacher gets a call and the student is sick. If they're within the building, you can solve maybe a problem so that that teacher leaving and have to get somebody to fill in for that if it's out of district, something like that. And what you were talking about, like Regis College, I think the workforce is changing. It's not like it was in my day, okay, when you could have stay-at-home moms. It's different. We have to adjust our whole modus operandi around it. So I think that goes hand in hand with collective bargaining also.
Yeah, the workforce is changing and recruitment is changing too. So it's very different now than it was even 5 years ago.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And I would just like to thank the HR department for its work. It's a very important aspect of our operation. We're a people business. We have over 800 employees, active employees, who require support, receive benefits. Sometimes we engage in complex employee issues, and we have 3 very dedicated people doing that work of 800, supporting 800 employees. So it's no small feat, and they do it well. But I think as we enter the budget process, we will be having conversations around what do we need in terms of additional support. So again, we can bring that value add to our employees, to the district.
I don't know what the title of Maggie is, but I'll just say the director of DEI, even though I don't know what.
Director of Equity, Belonging, and Community Engagement.
Okay, so do you envision her working with HR? Is she under HR? Like, where is?
So she reports directly, or the position reports directly to me.
Okay.
But looking at our workforce and making sure we're recruiting a diverse workforce is something that this position will be partnering with. Looking at creating programs for example, our ESPs to actually gain their teaching licenses to then become Unit A teachers is something that we're looking at. So yes, it will be part of the work we do in the role.
And that's actually something that I've been doing, is meeting with ESPs who are interested in becoming ESPs or substitutes or even food services who want to further their careers. So we definitely do support staff from an HR perspective.
But again, it's when we onboard ESPs and we can say we have this program.
Here's a track. Yeah, here's a track.
And again, how do we differentiate ourselves from other communities?
Not just the next 6 months, but the next 5 years.
Yeah. John?
Heather, do you also take care of each teacher's certification and the different levels, like the conflict law, like what we have to take? We have to do online courses, and you probably, through your teaching, both of you, you have to do. do you take care of that to see that the teachers are up to date in their certifications and all that type, everything?
We do. Our team, we collectively work on that. Nina and I work together and try to identify if somebody's licensure is about to expire. We try to help them out and notify them, but there's no guarantee that they will definitely get an email from us. So we encourage all educators to really look at their license because it's really on the educator to know that. But yes, and if somebody does not have the appropriate license for their position, unfortunately, there have been times where we have had to part ways. But we do support educators as much as we possibly can in ensuring that their license is up to date, and sometimes I'll contact the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to help to support our educators who may have unique or different situations that need that kind of support.
Yeah, because all those certifications, you know, for conflict, and I'm trying to think, there's like 3 of them, and then even their DESE certifications that they need, or the SEI courses, that wasn't there 20, 25 years ago. So there's a lot more that is onto this position that is required from the state, and yet we still have to do it. So thank you. I don't know how we ever did it without you in that position. I don't know if we did it, so. But thank you.
Thank you.
I think Greg did it.
Did Greg do it?
I think
Okay.
Greg did a lot.
I think I stand on the shoulders of giants, so you know, Bob Melican, Charles Cabran, and others, Christine Johnson, they took this on. So Nina Wall has been a long-standing partner in the HR department. So
I would say even Cheryl Leffery.
Cheryl Leffery.
Cheryl
so,
probably did a lot of that. Cheryl Levesque, you know, as your assistant to the superintendents, must have done this.
yeah,
I don't.
so it was distributed, and
Yeah.
now we have a much more, I think, streamlined. And focused you know, HR department, which is essential for the size of an organization.
Yeah. I mean, we're a multi-million-dollar organization, if you think about it that way. Yeah. Thank you so much, Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
Nice
staying
to see
tonight.
all of you.
Yes. Safe travels.
Yes.
Thank you.
Communications, the MASC, MASS Joint Conference. I know Kristen and I have registered. I don't know if anyone else, I know you were working, and I think we're it.
If you
Find out
change your
there is a
mind.
virtual component. I really enjoyed that.
I know
For
that
2
year that they
years.
did
They
it,
did
yeah.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah,
If, they
they
had
did.
if there was a virtual, it would be
I would
so
do
much.
It was.
I know,
I
they
don't
did
wanna
it,
get
they
kicked
did
out.
it during,
I don't want to drive the kid back.
they did it during COVID and then the year after, and then, I just personally wish that they would distribute the PowerPoints, handouts, like all that, even
Even in advance of.
in advance, so then you can kind of like
Figure out
decide where
wanna
you
go.
wanna go and what you wanna do, and even after the fact, like, it was kind of hard to try to get some of the PowerPoint, I'm sitting there like this.
And one strategy
Cooking
could be, I don't think there's ever been an entire committee able to go
No.
at the same time, but
We
if each
tried to
committee
divide
member
and
looks at
conquer.
the agenda
Yeah.
and identifies, okay, I can't go, but I'd really, can you attend this workshop for me and get the materials?
Yeah,
So there's some
some strategy, yeah.
strategy.
Yeah, which we did try to last year, Kristen, myself, Kamali, and Kathleen Holland, we were all there.
If there's anything this year on busing, I think that's a hot
Well, I actually
topic,
went to
so-
busing last year.
Okay.
I
So-
did, I went to busing last year, it was the Worcester. Did I ever give you guys the, I thought I gave you
We
guys
talked
the
about it.
email thing.
You did.
Yeah,
You debriefed us.
yeah, the Worcester, transportation, they kind of opened up their own transportation business with it, and, definitely some of the things I liked in their thing that I'd love to, when we do go out for bid and stuff, some of the things that they do, like, even just like the tablets that their drivers have that are programmable with the routes that, you know, so the drivers know exactly where they're going and they're not looking down and you know, even those types of things help, like.
I
streamline.
saw laminated paper.
Yeah.
Day 1 and day 2.
Yeah, you
And it
know,
was kind of funny to watch somebody like,
driving a huge, gigantic, yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
still there.
Yeah, so it's like those types of little things that Worcester has integrated into theirs, but they built their buses, you know? They literally got to pick out every single thing on their bus. They got to pick out the cameras that are watching the kids, the cameras that are watching in front, the stop signs that come out, like, you know.
There are other districts
But,
comparable to Northborough, Southborough that have made it work, but
Yeah.
I think it can be 6 in one, half dozen in the
Yeah.
other sometimes.
But, and to a point about the budgets and inviting the other committee members, you know, the town committee people to know, we are gonna have a huge increase just from buses. You know, that's gonna be a huge impact to our budget. We've had a steady, a cost
So
for
this is
2
our,
extra years.
this is
so-
the last year of
a 5-year, 3-year, 5-year edit. So it's gonna be a big,
When does that process start?
did it already start?
Last week.
Yeah, okay, when did
Last
that come
week?
between us, I guess, not till the spring.
Yeah,
right?
so
Like,
Keith
we're
is
not-
working on the procurement, and we're talking about, you know, turn by turn, the technology we want, quality of service. So all of those factors, Becky and Keith are working on creating a bid document. We hope to go out for, not an RFP, but
I have invitation for bid.
invitation for bid this fall, with some good bidders, and hopefully have a decision by potentially December.
Have there been any state requirements for a percentage of vehicles migrating to electric over a certain period of time? No, like nothing formal has come out and said like, hey, you know, everybody's got to have 5% electric buses by X, 10% by
I
Y.
think they are incentivizing electric buses, and there are districts that have some electric fleets. I think it's still an early concept. I think in the next, 5 to 7 years, we'll
Start seeing
it be
some of that.
more
Yeah.
normalized.
Yeah.
And the contractors or the school districts will need to have the infrastructure to support that.
Oh yeah.
So instead of
I-
garages servicing diesel
Yeah.
engines, they're gonna have to have, storage facilities and things of that nature that'll be able to support those
I
vehicles.
mean, they're certainly not lacking on space.
All right, we're gonna go back onto the agenda.
Yeah, sorry, I threw in buses and then we started right here.
We took off.
Yeah.
we got on that route.
Thanks, Kelly.
So, no worries. No, I love a great debate and discussion, and we'll put it on the agenda. Okay, I'm lost. Apple Fest, Joan has told us about a little bit of Apple Fest, and then there's other communication in here about Apple Fest. So is the parade definitely happening? Because I heard talk that there was talk of the parade.
I have not heard any changes. So I can ask, I can inquire.
Okay.
Is that still on Sunday? Yeah.
So, are we gonna be wearing khaki pants
No.
and red shirts? No? Okay. Everybody's, is anybody available to walk in the parade? No. I was-
Yeah, it says, on the website, it says,
They're definitely having,
it
okay.
says start time 1 o'clock at Lincoln Street on September 22nd. Cool.
I'll probably be jumping back and forth between cheerleading and that, but
What time?
1 PM.
Do you know who loves a good parade?
Your kid?
Rosalie.
She can come.
Oh, my kids will be out of state, unfortunately,
Yeah.
which they're very angry about.
Yeah. Why would you plan
All
a trip
sorts
out
of
of state?
I will be trying to.
It's for an event that was not my planning.
Yeah.
And
I will be trying to ride with the Grand Marshal.
Right?
And the starting location is where did you say?
Lincoln Street.
Yeah, okay,
Here,
we'll
right
be
here, right here.
We'll be here.
outside.
Do we still have the banner that was donated
Yes.
to us?
Yep.
Okay.
And I think
Do we
he-
get kids to hold it, or?
We've had, yeah. My daughter did it a couple years ago with a couple other kids, but now she's a cheerleader. So
Oh,
she's
she-
got her pom pom.
She's moved up.
She's moving up, moving up. Okay, action on open meeting minutes from June 5th.
I move to approve the open meeting minutes of June 5th, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Lauren, seconded by Bryce. Any discussion? No? All right. Unanimous? All in favor? It's unanimous. Next, future agenda items. Budget presentation in October, food services, transportation bid, cell phone update. And when I say October, I mean later this month, September 30th. Northborough Extended Day. Anything else, anybody? See? Would you like buses to talk more about buses?
Yeah, we could fold that into transportation bin, right?
What?
So would you fold that right into
Yeah,
number three?
yeah. That's- Okay, approval of bills and payrolls. We're doing good, Becky?
You're doing good.
Okay. Audience sharing? Come on up.
Peter's been waiting.
Peter's been waiting to
Peter's
hear. You could have
waiting
done the
through the
first
crowd here.
audience sharing.
Yeah. Hi, Peter Olson, Northborough Teachers Association President. And I wanted, this kind of ties in kind of nicely with what Joan had brought to the meeting in the beginning. I wanted to point out on behalf of the Northborough Teachers Association how wonderful it was to have our first day here, having Greg recognize the 30-year teachers, and then allowing us at the association meeting to recognize those teachers that have 20 to 25 years experience. It took a long time. And realizing in that our district has several thousand years experience.
4,000, over 4,000 years of experience.
4,000 years of experience, and you think about that as I was, waiting back in the rows of people. The professional development, the advanced degrees, the practice, we are truly in Northborough at a golden age of instruction. The teachers here are amazing, and they don't go anywhere. So, and that's a real testament. It's a testament to the town, and it's a testament to the work that you do for us, and I think that we do for you. The best part of it was the recognition, though, I think, of the new teachers. Those teachers that achieved their professional status and recognize that what we are, they will come. Because we don't go. We don't go anywhere. So I just wanted to point out we got these wonderful pins from the district celebrating the experience that we have. And from the orientation of the new teachers, and they're seeing what we are capable and what we do here, it made me proud to be representing the group of teachers that we have with the dynamic and I'd say malleable central office that we work with to make sure that all of the children in this town are serviced and serviced well. So, off and running. Welcome to my home. In Lincoln Street. You're more than welcome to stop by, check things out in the school when you come by and see the wonderful things that we do. Thank you.
Question.
Yeah. Can we ask, well,
I mean, technically it's audience.
I promise it's benign.
If it's not benign, I'm running.
I just want to confirm something I think you said. You then did who's a first year recognition?
Not a first year recognition, but the recognition of those teachers that have made it to professional status.
Okay, but like essentially a year one professional teacher, like raise your hand if you're a year one.
Not just that, but a recognition, come down in front of the entire 3 districts combined, and let's celebrate who you are and what you've done.
I was just thinking, as cool as it is to honor the longevity, to celebrate the start.
Isn't that nice?
Seems equally as valuable there.
And not just that, but to recognize it with the people who have been here for 30 years. Because we're transitioning. And I know, Joan, you had a question about how the number of years of service that teachers have here. Is there going to be, could that cause some future complications or problems, soon down the line? Not here. We're going to be good.
We're going to be good.
We're going to be good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my question was just logistics, because at our first meeting, and you were sitting in the back, Can you hear us better when you sit in the back than when we were at Melican?
I would say that one of the things that you should consider in your expenditures is a new compressor for the milk machine. Because I can hear pretty well when it's off, but otherwise it's pretty difficult. But these are the things that happen with the new location. So
Yeah. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. But could you hear us better in the back than you
It was
could?
it was difficult to hear. Yeah, it was difficult. To
No,
hear.
you
So
can't.
we still may,
It
so.
was difficult.
So maybe, I know we did this a few years ago at Melican, was a speaker.
Yeah, I think we'll work with,
So-
Keith and John Penn, our new IT director,
Yeah.
and really think about what do we need in the space?
Yep.
Since we'll have regular meetings here.
Yeah.
Cameras and speakers.
Yeah.
To make it a good experience for the
Yeah,
audience.
which I know Dana has a long-term plan too, and so.
And I think we, regardless of what the town is able
To do,
afford
we'll do
with-
something.
We need to do something as a district.
Yep.
These meetings are important. It's
Yes.
important business, and
Yep.
we want the audience to be able to hear and virtually be able to listen to the meeting.
Any other audience sharing? I do have one. My name is Kelly Gannett, 69 Northgate Road. I am a parent of 2 middle school children, and on September, later this month, they have an open house, and the open house is for all the middle school on one evening. Now, a parent's conflict last year was great. I was able to go to my daughters, all of their classes, and get to see the teachers. Now, this year I've got 2, so I have to choose which of my children's teachers I get to go and observe and meet for the one evening. So it's kind of a hard choice that I have to make as a parent. And then, I could, enlist my spouse, but I'm still we're still choosing. And it's really, it's an unfair choice to have to make. I understand that the staff, it's amazing staff, they're giving their evening, and it would be complicated, but if there was a way to have it 3 different nights, a 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, you're still gonna have problems if kids have twins, but just a suggestion. Thank you for your time. All right, thank you so much for that, Kelly. Okay. Thanks, Kelly. See, I'm taking my hats off, I'm putting my hats on, okay?
I'm glad you gave your address.
I am separate, Okay, audience sharing, any other business, nothing. Our next meeting, combined meeting, is September 18th at Algonquin Regional High School. And then our next Northborough School Committee meeting is here on Monday, September 30th. I will entertain a motion to adjourn at, I'm shocked, 8:54.
So
You
moved.
did a good job.
Second.
Moved by Lawrence, second by Kristen. All in favor? We are adjourned at 8:54. Thank you.